Hi, this is Gary. I'm with Stoll Fireplace, and today we're going to show you how to install a Carolina Premier all-metal mantle. First, you'll need to know how to measure and get the sizing correct. So today we're going to actually take this traditional brick fireplace and we're going to convert it into an all-metal, more contemporary, modern setting. So to do that, there's a couple things to remember. Here you see the transition from the brick to the sheetrock wall. So I want to make sure that I'm covering that. I don't want to see any transition there. Secondly, I also want to bring the surround and the legs of the mantle in to cover all the brick. We want the brick to disappear. So it's important to look at your setting, pick out things like trim, any cabinets, any wall obtrusions, anything that you want to make sure the mantle clears. Those are important details. But also choose how you want to finish it. You want to cover all the brick, you want to leave some of the brick, but again, in this case, we're going to cover the entire brick. Your local dealer will have measurement charts and forms that you can fill out to make measuring simple, but I'll just give you a couple of quick steps here on how to measure. So, step one, I want to measure the overall width that I want the mantle to be. And in this application, I want to make sure I cover the transition. So I want the overall width of this mantle to be 64 inches wide. Okay? Secondly, I want to make sure that I use and build around the existing opening that I have. So my existing fireplace opening is 36 and the height is 31. So I want to make sure I build around the existing opening. Thirdly, I want to make sure that I get the finished height of the mantle. And in this case, I want to make sure I cover the transition here. So I want the mantle to finish out at 52 inches tall. So I've got the finished height, I've got the finished width, and I also have the finished opening size that I want to work around. Now that your mantle has arrived, we want to identify the components and lay it out for assembly. You will receive in the shipment a hardware package that includes the diagrams, the instruction sheets, the mounting hardware, and so you'll make sure you have that. Secondly, you want to lay out the mantle face down on a soft carpeted or something that will not scratch the surface of the mantle. The mantle header is going to be at the top, and the mantle legs will be on the left and right side. Now it's important that you get the left and the right correct, so before installing it, you want to make sure that the notch and the little bracket here which holds the mantle to the wall is on the appropriate sides. In this case, you'll see that this leg has an indentation, and that is for the surround or the fireplace pocket. So that would be, you'll want to make sure that's on the inside. So both inside pockets need to be on the opposite sides of each other. Now that you have the mantle laid out, now you're ready to attach the legs to the mantle header. And there are 3 holes in the bottom of the header that you'll run the little bolts through into the tap holes on the mantle legs. So you want to match them up and you'll attach the bolts to the mantle leg. And you'll need a Phillips screwdriver for that. Now we have the legs and the mantle header attached, and we attached all those 6 bolts to the legs. Then you'll be ready to attach the mantle surround if you have purchased that. In this case, remember we were covering all the brick, so we purchased a surround, a metal surround to attach to the legs to cover the entire brick surface. So that will be your next step. You'll get your mantle surround, and you want to lay it face down on the legs on the width. Okay, and the mantle legs were offset to receive the depth of the surround. So you'll notice that now the outside of the mantle legs and the surround are all on one plane, one surface, so they don't make a smooth transition when you mount it. So the inside legs of the mantle have 3 holes that are provided to attach the bolts to the surround. So you'll attach the surround to the legs using the bolts and nuts, and that's the 7/16 bolt or nut driver that you'll need for that. Okay, Now that we've got the mantle, the header, the legs, and the surround all installed, and we had noticed we attached the surround with the 4 bolts on the side, both sides, so that attaches the entire unit. Now we're ready to assemble it against the wall. So, in your mounting kit, you're going to have wall brackets. These are heavy metal wall brackets, and now we're going to measure on how to place them on the fireplace. So step 1 for your top brackets, these are going to be installed on the wall so that they fit up right behind the top lip of the header. So to find out where to position this, we want to pull a dimension of the entire mantle. This one is 50 inches tall, okay? So the legs and the header are 50 inches. So to find the position for this on the wall, you'll take the total dimension of the height of the mantle, which is 50, minus 4 inches to the bottom of this bracket. So I'm 50 inches minus 4 would be 46 to the bottom of this metal bracket. In this application, I've already installed them on the actual fireplace themselves. So I measured up 46 inches to the bottom of the bracket. And in this application, we're going into brick or concrete. We have to use like a Mason Tapcon or a heavier screw system. If you're going into a sheetrock or a stud wall, you want to make sure you find a stud and you can run that bracket, because these you want to be very stable. So in this case, we ran them into the brick. So the finished height of the mantle minus 4 inches to the bottom of the bracket. In this application, we use 3 brackets. You can use 3, 4, but 3 is usually enough. Okay, the bottom bracket, you then want to measure from the hearth up 5 inches to the bottom of the bracket. Okay, so I've got the hearth here. I want to go up 5 inches and set the bracket where the bottom of the bracket is at 5 inches. And that's going to attach to this special flange. So I've attached that to the bottom, and as we slide it on here in a few minutes, you'll see, but this bracket is designed to go up behind the flange here. So 5 inches up to the bottom. Now another important part of this is that you want to make sure on the width here that you're going to fall into this range here. So you want to measure the width of your mantle legs after it's installed, and you want to make sure that you set these 2 brackets in position that they actually catch on this bracket here. Okay? I'll kind of redo that again here, but you're going to go top of the mantle minus 4 inches to the bottom of the bracket, and then you're going to go up 5 inches to the bottom of the bracket for the bottom mounting hardware. After you have them set, then you're ready for install. Okay, now that we have the metal wall brackets attached, and you want to make sure that you attach the bracket so that the threaded hole is at the top. This allows you to insert the bolt, which is actually used to position the shelf down behind. So the shelf will slide down behind this. So it's going to be easy to adjust this, but may take a few tries to know the exact depth of how to put this bolt in. But I would suggest about halfway to start, and the contour of the wall and your fireplace facing may all determine how far or how deep that bolt should be set. You'll notice that the fireplace wall that we're working with here has a slight bow to it. That's the beauty of these adjustable brackets, allowing you to pull the mantle snug up against most any surface or fireplace setting that you may have. Okay, now that the wall brackets are installed, we want to position the mantle up on the hearth, ready for install on the brackets. It's best if you use something soft on the hearth, like a blanket or a throw rug, to keep it from scratching any surface that you might have there. But now we're going to lift the mantle up along the wall and slide it down over the brackets. Now we've slid the mantle down over the wall brackets, and we've pressed hard on to make sure that it's slid down in there tight. But I'm noticing just a little bit of play here because of the bow in the wall. You can hear the little bit of a play. So I'm going to remove the mantle again and tighten that bolt up slightly. Okay, so now that I've removed the mantle, I want to turn the bolt a couple turns because I want to take that play out of this side, because I've got a little bit of a bow here. I need to pull this side in just a little bit more. So I turn that in slightly, and I'll re-slide that back on those brackets. Okay, now that the mantle and header is installed tightly against the wall, the last step will be to install the shelf. The shelf comes as two parts. You have a back plate or a bottom, and you have a top plate or a cap. So the shelf will have two parts. The back plate or the bottom that you'll install to the wall will have the gussets that you see here for strength. So you want to position this back plate onto the top of the header and evenly allow the overlap per side. So you want to make sure it's positioned where it's evenly overlaps the header, and your shelf will always overlap the header to give you kind of a nice finished look. Once you have it evenly positioned on top of the header, you'll want to find something strong or rigid to install the shelf to. So in this case, we're installing onto a sheetrock surface, and when you're doing that, you want to find the studs behind the sheetrock. So once it's positioned evenly on the header, you'll mark where your studs are and then drill through the back plate and attach that with wood screws or an attachment that's provided into the stud wall. Now that the shelf is installed and you've marked the holes and found the studs, you want to attach that to the wall to give it a nice solid mount. Okay, now that the shelf back plate is installed, you'll notice that the top plate, the top cap, also has gussets, but it has the friction brackets that allow this shelf cap to slide over the back plate and lock it in tightly. So you'll want to place the top cap slowly over top of the back plate, allowing the friction brackets to grab and slide it in position. Okay, once you have the top plate slid over the friction brackets, you want to firmly push it in position to lock it in. And that allows it to lock back into position and will remain there now.